Yo, what's going on? And welcome back to another edition of the Just Swingin' It podcast. I'm joined by John and Fat Baby as per normal, but we got a very special guest tonight. We have Gav Blacksburg from Wolf Financial. If you've been listening to the show for a while, he has been on the show before, but it was back when they first started Wolf. To be honest, when we had him on the show, no one knew anything about him. We just knew that he started commenting on our tweets and some of the other people we followed at the time. And then it was like, well, let's get to know this guy. Let's check out Wolf. And since then, the Wolf Financial app has it's blown up. I mean, he's doing all kinds of great stuff. So we invited him back to talk about that and to just have a general conversation, on the market, some of his thoughts on different events that's going on. Hopefully it won't be through interviewee. It'll be more of just a conversation. But it should be a pretty good conversation. So with that, we'll skip a lot of the bullshit and we'll just bring him in. May take a minute with the system. Gav, how's it going?
What's going on, guys?
It's going good. You're getting tired yet? You do stuff all day, like every day until like midnight.
Every day.
Every single day.
9 a.m. to 11 p.m., rain or shine. Today's been crazy, guys. I mean, it's the most I've ever hosted on Spaces. I hosted 6 hours plus today. I was also a speaker on another space for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So my phone says I've already clocked 8.5 hours of Twitter today, and it is only 8 p.m. EST. So we're running strong.
So what's the goal for Twitter today? If you have to be at your record. I mean,
What are
we trying to hit?
This is probably my record. I mean, just because. So here's the thing. It says 8 hours, but what you have to understand is I probably spend about the same amount of time on my laptop, right? Because that's where I go through DMs. So I probably clocked more like 11 hours of Twitter today, if you're really going at it. So I don't know. I have about 50 more DMs to get to right now. So I've just been sitting down and responding to those, just pounding through them. Got to get back to some people, running multiple accounts. Like, there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, so this is Gab. We already introduced you. Of course, you've been on the show before. But I guess to start off, if you want to talk about, kind of about Wolf and the Wolf Financial app, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. For anyone who's new or anyone who may not know you, you go ahead and explain that, and then we can kind of dive into it after you give your explanation of what all you do. You can discuss the Twitter Spaces as well and anything else you would like to plug up.
100%. I'll keep it short. So I'm the community director for Wolf, so I oversee running our social medias and any outreach with creative partners and things along those lines. And what the Wolf app is we understand that right now there's so many people who have no financial background but would love to become investors, whether that's traders, investors, all different types of styles. We respect that. And in order to become a great, if not awesome investor, in our eyes, you need three things. The first is social, a way that you can bounce ideas off of people, communicate with your peers. Number two, you need data. So it has to be easily accessible and understandable. Can't be in a spreadsheet format anymore. Doesn't really work for a lot of people. They need it transformed into a visual, graphical interface that they can understand. And then number three, to tie it all together, you need to have the ability to actually place your trades. And so what we built with Wolf is an ecosystem where all this comes true. We have the same social features that you're used to on something like Twitter, where you're coming in, you have that text-based communication. We overlay it with a social media that's designed for research. So the data comes right in. You connect in your portfolio, and I'm going to get to in a second about making your own Wolf portfolio, but you can connect that in, you can create charts, you can do research. Everything is overlaid. It's built for it. When you go to make let's say a chart about a stock, you don't have to screen clip it from somewhere else or download data. You just click 2 clicks, boom, it's right there, it's live, it's easy. And the real big next step for us, and what we've been working on for now months and months, is introducing our own trading platform into the app. And we just got the go-ahead clearance to introduce that. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to actually make a Wolf trading account inside the app, buy and trade, buy and sell stocks, and all in the same place that you're doing your research and your social. So nothing really exists like this yet, and we're really excited to get it out there on the market.
So you said, we talked before back in maybe like January, and you were talking about being able to place the trades and stuff on there. You guys are actually becoming a brokerage basically at this point, or are you just becoming, kind of like a link to, your own brokerage and you can just do it through Wolf or,
I can't call it a brokerage for legal purposes. However, it will be a Wolf trading platform. It's not a link to like Robinhood or anything like that. It is a Wolf account, and you'll see that as such inside the app. You'll still be able to connect your other accounts. So if I want to have my Wolf account and then I want to link in my Robinhood and link in my Fidelity, you'll be able to do that and see them all in app and do research on all them in app, but it will be a Wolf trading account.
Yeah, that's cool. Like you said, there's nothing at all out there like that. I logged onto the Wolf app earlier today, and it looks a lot different. A lot's happened since the last time you came on the show. What all has changed since about January of last year, since the time you came on here? A lot of stuff. I mean, you've blown up on Twitter. I think you're over 30,000 followers now, which tend to happen when you do 10 hours a day on there. But what all has changed with Wolf since the last time you've been on?
Yeah, well, clearly the app has changed a lot. As you mentioned, we've come up with a lot of new ideas for increasing our core values. So those being social, research, and trading. So integrating actual ability to trade, redesigning our entire social features, taking out things like video so we could focus on text, improving our charts, diagrams, things like that. We've expanded our team. And the reason we were able to do that is we actually got funded. We got an 8-figure valuation, which was really exciting to see that. So that was a huge step forward for the company. That allowed us to hire, new C-suite executives, to bring in more developers, to really flesh out what we wanted to build, and move into more connections with B2B and things like that. So I would say on that end, there's a lot that's happened. On my end, running the socials, Wolf account's probably going to hit 35K in the next day or two. That's very exciting for me. Would love to see that continue to skyrocket. We've built a mass of partners, creative influencers, creators, whatever you want to call them. We have hundreds that now collaborate with us on a weekly basis, whether that's in spaces, on the app, on podcasts, over 100 episodes deep into our own podcast as well, which I don't think we had not even started when we were on your pod.
I haven't even heard about it. So
the Market Madness podcast, we're coming up. We got like 600 subs. It's coming.
Market what?
Market Madness.
Market Madness. And I assume that's available
on all platforms.
On all platforms. All right. I'll have to check it out for sure.
Yeah. So that's a little bit what's been going on my end. My team has fleshed out a bit. I've got another guy on our marketing team. We got some interns. So they're helping us run stuff, because it's hard when I'm running so many spaces to respond to every single comment. So I like to bring in some guys to help because I like to respond to at least, 50 to 100 comments a day. And then another guy helping me out with the Instagram. A big help there, taking a lot of lead on that, which is just an area that I'm, don't really have the time to get to and less expertise in. And then building out things like our TikTok, and other such platforms. So the expansion of the team, and I think the direction that we found, has really been to the biggest things that have changed since January.
Yeah. What I guess you already talked about the next steps going forward, but let's go to the Twitter spaces for a second, because I see those on there all the time. Every once in a while, if I get a chance at work, I pop someone, just listen to it in the background. Y'all do those on all kinds of different topics that are very helpful. Some of them are a lot more helpful. There's sometimes some are just people discussing, like you're just having a conversation while they're trading or doing whatever. But you can get a lot of new knowledge on tickers that you haven't heard of and stuff like that on there. But there seems to be a topic for everyone. I just want to give you a chance to, discuss those for a bit, tell people how they can find those and what topics are being discussed and when, because, they are helpful and you do them pretty much all day, most days. So,
yeah, great question. And sorry, I just realized my mic wasn't plugged in, so my sound quality might be a little bit better now. Okay. I saw your wonderful mics and I got jealous. So with my Twitter spaces, I want them to cover a realm of topics. And just this week alone, I'm doing 12 different spaces. About halfway through the week, did 4 today. And the spaces cover every area of investing, because there's something for everybody. And so this week we covered fundamental analysis, technical analysis, opportunities in cryptocurrency, NFT collections. Today we also did live option trading. Pretty much any area, I'm trying to find speakers for it. We're doing a market psychology space tomorrow night. So that's like digging into the psychology of how to become a great investor. So many different areas. And for people that want to find them, I do 2 things. So one, I've started now putting out a full weekly schedule that I make the pin tweet on the Wolf account every week. I put that up on Sundays around 4 p.m. EST. and that goes out. But then I've come up with an even better solution, which I've been plugging on all my spaces, which is the Wolf Twitter Spaces Google Calendar. And this I think is like the ultimate solution. So as you may know, Twitter Spaces only allows you to put out one reminder tweet ahead of time. Now, a reminder tweet is a tweet that lets people click it, set a reminder, they get a notification when the space is going to start. But for me, if I'm doing 4 spaces a day, it's not helpful because I can only put out one at a time. And by the time I finish my space, there's only an hour till the next space. So what I created was a free public Google Calendar that anybody can join. And this way, they see all my spaces as soon as I put them on, added to their calendar. And if they're in the beginning of the week, they're planning out, all right, what night am I going to eat out? What night am I going to go, have fun or whatever. But they're like, oh, the crypto space or, oh, the NFT space, I want to be at that. They can now see it on their calendar. And listen to this, over 1,000 people have subscribed to our Google Spaces calendar, including somebody who works at Twitter Spaces. So they're clearly pretty excited about this. I'm excited because of this calendar. I think we have a baseline of about 500 listeners per space now because everybody knows when they're happening. And I tell people the easiest way is just DM me your email and I will add you. You don't even have to deal with anything. Like just DM me your email. I'll say thank you. I'll add you. And it's been perfect. That's why my DMs are crazy right now because we've been saying that on all these spaces. But that's been huge. And I think a great way for people to find them and to learn. And because you brought it up, I'm very excited. We applied and were accepted into an exclusive Twitter Spaces incubator program, actually, that Twitter Spaces is running. It's called the Twitter Spaces Spark program. I don't even know what their acceptance rate was, but I only know one other person that got in. And they are going to be now paying us monthly to host these spaces. They're also going to give us ad credits to promote our spaces. They're going to tweet about our spaces from the official Twitter Spaces account, and they're going to put us in the algo. That starts December 1st, and my first information session with them is tomorrow at 12. So I'm very excited for that. And it seems like the Twitter Spaces are only trending upwards.
Yeah, the ones I've got on, there's been 1,500, 1,600 people in there on some of them. So they're crazy large. And there's tons of people. But that's cool. I bet you're getting contacted by Twitter. You're going to start getting paid for doing all this work, which is the goal, right?
Yeah, I have people at Twitter that reach out to me and like ask me questions about stocks, crypto. Like it's really funny that they're like they've seen, they take notice.
Do you end all your answers with that with are you on the Wolf app or
yes. Well, I end them all with not financial advice. But before that comes, make sure you're on the Wolf app. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said before, you've been on before. We don't want to make it too interviewee. We kind of got your background previously. Drexel, right? That's where you went to college?
Yeah, I went to Drexel University, got a bachelor's in finance from there.
That's a crazy thing that I remember. That's an odd
nice job,
college.
Nice job. Well, you're wearing a Virginia Tech hat, which is located in Blacksburg, Virginia. So it all comes full circle.
Yes, sir. I knew that. I saw it right beforehand. Drexel, I think, is playing St. Joe's in basketball tonight. The line was Drexel -1. That's how I was like, oh, Drexel. That's where Gavin.
I've never been to a Drexel sports game in my life. Maybe one soccer game my first week there. I don't know. Drexel sports isn't it. It's about as terrible as you can get while still being D1.
I thought they had a year where they were decent at basketball. Like maybe it was in the tournament.
They made the tournament last year and got blown out in the first round. Yeah, they were a 16 seed.
They made it. That means they had to win whatever tournament they were in. I feel like it's harder for it's hard for the smaller schools, right? Because you have to win. Yeah, like you can have a great season and lose in the tournament, then you're out. But yeah, we're going to get into some of the current topics of the market. But before we do that, John, Fat Baby, do y'all have any questions about the Wolf app or anything like that you would like to discuss before we, hop into it?
Yeah, I mean, one of my questions is sort of on the future of the Wolf app. What ways, from your perspective, do you think you guys are going to end up monetizing? There's a lot of different ways, these social media apps, if that's what your core business is going to be, or the trading platform, there's a lot of different ways to monetize. I'm curious which way you guys are thinking that's going to go.
Great question. There's going to be a few paths. Now, the main one, I actually can't talk about exclusively at length publicly yet, but we have actually patented a process for selling retail investors insurance on their investments. And I can't go super far down the rabbit hole, but we will be working with some market makers to essentially create an entirely new investment product. And that's kind of what I want to leave it at, because I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. And I want to stay super vague on that. But that is going to be like 90%, I believe, of our revenue. That's something we're super excited about. It's how we pull a large amount of our valuation. And that's something which we hope to have in app by Q2 of 2022. Hopefully, prototype, hopefully by Q1, something in app by Q2. And I think it's going to, in short, take a ability that has been available to hedge fund investors for a long time and not really been available to retail investors, and take that and give it to the retail investor. I think it's the next level of democratization of finance. So that is going to be a big area. Now, some of the areas I can talk about, two main ones. One, we are going to have some type of membership within the app, some type of upgraded level of premium data. We have now secured a few different data partners, including Seeking Alpha, as well as hopefully TrendSpider, still chatting, and Lagoon, which is an Israeli alternative data company, and then Quant Data, which is an options flow company. And we want to bring all their data in app, data which usually people pay thousands and thousands of dollars a year, and sell it for around $3.99 a month to $4.99 a month, and give people all this access to really incredible amounts of data and transform the appearance of the data as well. So it's a lot easier to understand, and you get one-click shareability right into your social feed. So you're taking all your research and making a viral loop with it. Number two, we are also, this was supposed to be out, but things got backlogged a bit with getting out our trading platform. Number two, we are going to have the ability for our creators to sell premium content in app. This is something which we've talked about for a long time. It's just some things had to take precedence, but a lot of these creators, they want to do this full time, right? They want to just make financial content. Their audiences want them to do it, but they don't really have a way to monetize. Twitter was like, yeah, we're rolling out like monetization features for creators, and then gave it to like 5 people, and then just like completely blew everyone off. And I have no idea when people are going to get it, probably not for years. So I think we're a little bit more grassroots, and we're going to give the right people access to sell their premium content in app at a price that they would like to charge, and we're going to get a percentage of that, similar like a Patreon. So that's two of the ways that will be helpful, but certainly the first product that I mentioned is going to be a lot bigger, and I'm hoping that within the next 6 months, we have enough built out that I can speak more openly about it and talk, and I can't wait to get it out there. I just can't talk a ton on it right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. It does sound cool too, and I think that data, it's almost like a Bloomberg terminal, but instead of whatever they charge, $150,000 a year, you get it for $3 a month. And it's one of those things that I can't believe Robinhood hasn't figured that out. Robinhood Gold has it, but it's not good. It's not good, and the only reason people have Robinhood Gold is for the margin. So yeah, it's definitely interesting it's a good idea overall. It's just I've never seen it done well, but I definitely have the confidence in you guys to do it, because there's a huge opportunity for it.
Definitely, and I think our partners see that too. And like most of them have even come to us and said, listen, like we'll give you the data for free for a quarter. Like we just want to like see, we want to get it out there. We want to be a part of your app. So like that's a huge part of it too. And that will give us time to like figure out what's the usability on this, how many people are using it, what's helpful to people, how can we promote things in app. But like some of these companies really need exposure. Like I'll speak to Quant Data real quick. I use this service every single day. Incredible service. I think, they track option flow. For me, I use Unusual Whales and Quant Data and Black Box Stocks. And I really love the Quant Data interface and the alerts that I get from them specifically. They just kind of like consolidate everything. So the problem is like the Twitter's got, I don't know, a few thousand followers. The CEO's great. He's like a 20-year-old guy who's just a freaking genius, who built this company, like went all in on it during Corona and got this out there. And it's a great platform, but like the exposure is not there. So if they were, to team up with us and we put them in the app and then we blast that out to hundreds of thousands of people, that's how they're going to get that type of exposure. So it's a good deal for them kind of both ways. That's what we're able to offer to our partners.
I've got a bad idea for monetization. I always have a joke on my Twitter, bad business ideas. So for you guys, since you're sort of a trading platform and a social platform, you could have a feature called Bet, where when people are in disagreements on how a stock's going to do, you could do it via crypto too, with a smart contract built in that says, hey, I say a stock price is going to hit this by this date. And when someone's talking junk on you, you say, hey, bet. And you have it right there. And then you both wire the crypto into it. And then it automatically goes and Wolf takes 10%. And then whichever one is true, it goes straight to that person on that day.
Interesting idea. There's an app that does similar to that. It's called the Versus app, I believe. I have a friend that works for them, and it's kind of like that, but it's not like a one-to-one. I get what you're saying, like a one-to-one, that'd be interesting, like to middleman those. I don't know if we really want to get caught up in that and have the money flow through us, because like with taxes and all these different things, it gets really complicated. But there is an app where you can go on and you can make bets like, do you think Bitcoin will hit this amount or this amount by tomorrow? Do you think this stock will do this? And it's also sports betting and crypto and stocks. It's like a whole bunch of everything. So I think it's called the Versus app. I'm going to have to look more into it, but it's a cool idea. I think people are targeting that.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what do you got?
So I guess going back to as far as like the insurance on securities kind of thing, what would be the benefit of doing that over like options?
So options are great, but one, most retail investors don't understand how to use options, let alone puts. And two, an option only hedges you against 100 shares. So it's not really useful in most cases unless you are a hedge fund.
As far as like smaller quantity amounts, is that basically what you're saying? And then I guess also you would be competing against option pricing as far as like what it would cost to insure it versus just buy a put, right?
Right. Yeah. But once again, you can't create a perfect hedge with a put unless you have a very strong knowledge of the algorithm, right? You're able to pick the right strike, the right date, all those type things. And number two, you have 100 shares that you're trying to hedge. Otherwise, it's not a perfect hedge.
Right. Gotcha.
And what we'll be able to do is create a perfect hedge.
Yeah, it sounds like a cool idea. It sounds complicated.
We're very excited for it. I don't want to name like names or anything, but there are some big players in the world of finance that are getting into bed with us to do this.
I mean, the insurance business is a great business. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made.
Go around.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess one more question I have, and you can decline to answer this. You're kind of getting in bed with Twitter here coming up. At some point, I assume you want to build a big enough audience for these spaces and take that to the Wolf app. What's that going to be like, or what's your thought process there? Are you going to continue doing the Twitter spaces, or do you eventually want to move this to the Wolf app?
Yeah, so definitely we've pondered the idea of building some type of audio chat room into the Wolf app. It's just right now like that's so far out, right? We have to do so much other stuff that like I'm not really leaning into the thought of it. One thing that we've tried to figure out is like, okay, can we have like a symbiotic relationship with Twitter Spaces? So like one of our ideas was to do like, let's say we do a live trading space and we tell everybody, hey, we're going to do live trading. Go to the Wolf app. We're going to put all of our charts in there, all of our research, all of that type of stuff. So we don't have to build in like new features, but everyone knows, oh, hey, I have to be on the Wolf app if I actually want to follow what they're saying. Like, so people will like, that's one of the ideas. We could do like, hey, like, we're sharing our trades on the Wolf app. So like, if you are following along and you want to actually see what I'm trading live, like come to the Wolf app, my portfolio is shared. You can see everything there. You get what I'm saying? Like,
it's kind of like a dual screen, like you're listening on Twitter, but you're following along.
Because that's the big problem right now with Twitter Spaces is that there is no visual. So my thought is Wolf could provide the visual while Twitter Spaces has the audio. We help them build their audience while also bringing people onto the Wolf app.
Well, you pretty much almost have the capabilities to do that now. I mean, without the relationship with Twitter, right? I mean, technically you could do dual screens and listen on Twitter and be on
100%. There's just some stuff in the Wolf app that still has to get the kinks fixed and everything before I want to like do a huge push, but this trading platform just got approved literally yesterday. And that was after months and months of working on that. So as soon as that's in, we'll definitely be doing bigger pushes on these spaces to get people onto the Wolf app. And we also have other ways. I started a newsletter. It went from my, it like blew up over the last couple of weeks. My eighth issue of it went out to 320 subs, and now there's almost 1,200. Like a week or two later, so it went up like 300%. So that's like another avenue where we can tell people about the app. Yeah, we're just trying to build up. Like, there's no reason for us to stop doing what we're doing on Spaces because it's just a great avenue. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty friendly with Twitter. I understand that I'm trying to bring some of their clientele into a potential competitive environment, but I think that people are going to have stuff to gain from being on both. I think there's a lot of benefits being on both, and nobody has one app on their phone. Everybody has more than one, so they can have both Twitter and the Wolf app.
Yeah, I was just thinking, kind of like like if you're fishing, you're on Twitter, you're kind of chumming the waters, and then if you could all of a sudden say you've enjoyed listening to all these, now they're over here, people would follow, and you would gain, however many people that was on the Wolf app that was just listening on Twitter.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll probably be working with, like, I don't know if you've been on these spaces, but like Stock Talk Weekly, Gavin, Stock Market News, like these are a lot of guys that are really big on these spaces, have been collaborating with us, all ones that I want to bring into that environment of the Wolf app, and just have it over and over. But like, it doesn't have to get figured out today. I think we're going to fill it out as we go. It's definitely been a great route for getting people to the app. More than 50% of our downloads come through Twitter.
Yep. And you mentioned the newsletter. What's all in the newsletter? When you put that out, what all information's in there?
So great question. So I wanted to write it. I wanted to make a newsletter because everybody was pushing me like, it's got to write a newsletter. It's a great way to build an audience, have a path. I'm like, cool. But I don't like long form writing. I graduated college, so I could not do that anymore. And I was thinking like, what would I want that other people might want? I'm like, well, I spend 40 hours a week on Twitter. I see 5,000 to 10,000 tweets probably. What if once a week I sent out a 3-minute read to people's inbox highlighting the 10 best tweets that I saw that week in the world of finance? And that's what I do. I go through, I have 3 stock analysis tweets. I have 3 finance meme tweets, a little bit of humor. And then I have 4 just overall pound the table, love this tweets. And I summarize them all into a, like I said, 3 to 5 minute read. Each one has a 1 to 2 sentence description, and they all come with links. So anybody they get it once a week, Friday, market close, like 4 or 5 p.m. You can go through and be like, all right, what was the best tweets of the week from, finance Twitter, quick read. If they like anything, they can click in, they can like it, they can do whatever they want. But I think I was like, how can I take what I'm doing all day and turn that into a newsletter? And for me, it's being the person who kind of like sifts through, thousands of tweets and finds people some goodies. And it was actually inspired by Fat Baby Funds. Very coincidental that you're on here. I don't know if you remember, but like,
yeah, he's a host of the show now.
Yeah, 4 months ago, he tagged me in a tweet on like some Saturday, and he was like, top 5 tweets of the week, and like dropped one of my tweets in there. I was like, oh, this is a cool idea. Like, you should do more of this. And I think he did it like a couple more times. And then when I was going to write a newsletter, I was like, oh, I really liked when someone did that. And they were like, and then also it's kind of dual purpose. Like, this is the part maybe I shouldn't give away, but like, it's a great way to like highlight and often get an interaction from someone who I think writes great tweets. Like Josh from at the Smart Money. He's got about 55,000 followers. We had never talked. I've been following him for a long time. I thought his tweets are awesome. I went ahead and I highlighted him in one of my newsletters because he had great tweet that week. And he DM'd me and said, thank you so much for highlighting me. I DM'd him. I was like, yeah, of course, no problem. Been following your stuff for a while. We got onto a Zoom call. He came on my podcast. He's on the Wolf app posting. Like, I think a lot of stuff can come from it. So it's very like dual purpose.
Who's made the most appearances in your newsletter?
That's a great question. I'd probably say Business Famous.
On the humor side?
Yeah, he's got so good memes. There's some memes there.
But they're multi-purpose. I could put him into humor. Sometimes I can slide him into like the 5-star tweets. Like, he kind of works in pretty well. I've also got a pretty healthy share of ramp capital in there.
Yeah, so Business Famous, we was talking about him maybe like a show or two ago. We've been doing, one tweet a week. We've been discussing right at the end of the show, and one of his was the same thing. Ours, the one we normally do though, is we normally try to find one that's like a discussion. And so not necessarily a real insightful tweet or something, but like a question that we can discuss on here and make a discussion out of it is what we've been doing. And he had one. I forget what it was even about. The newsletter is cool. I'm with you. I never really liked the long form writing, but I always liked the idea of maybe doing like kind of like a blog, kind of like Fat Baby does, maybe a little bit shorter than his. I don't like writing the full thing. John, he likes making the small videos, but I think it would be beneficial to have something where, if a thought comes in my head, all of a sudden I can write like a paragraph, like 3 or 4 sentences, and then that's it. But yeah, so everyone should sign up for the newsletter. You can, the tweets are cool, right? Because you can find a lot more people to follow yourself on Twitter, which could help you. Yeah. So,
and it's so easy for people to sign up because I do it through Review, which is the Twitter newsletter service. So it's literally inside my bio, right underneath like the follower count and the bio stuff. It's just like you can one tap click subscribe. So they make it super simple.
Yes, but moving on from some of this, let's just jump into some of the market stuff. So you probably answer questions like this all day, every day. You'd probably rather just discuss some stuff. I would assume you probably explain what Wolf is thousands of times a week, but we figured we just have you on, discuss some of the big news stories going on. Any topics you'd like to discuss, you're welcome to pull them up. But what's your general thoughts on the market currently? I know it was kind of down today, has been up. The retail sales were really good in October, so that kind of pushed it up, but it was pretty far down today. But what is your thoughts on the general market as of currently, and then kind of what is your not expectations, but what's your outlook? 3-4 months from now, that sort of thing.
Sure. So my outlook on the market really changes day by day because I've been an extremely active swing trader and day trader recently. Obviously, we've had a couple days pullback here, which I think is healthy. A couple things that are on my radar. So there's plenty of chop in this market right now, up, down, volatility, but there's also a lot of areas of the market that are moving. And what I've been trying to do is find those areas that have momentum and volatility and volume and latch onto them. So for example, the EV industry, right? Massive move. You could play these Tesla calls. We shouted out Tesla calls in my space this morning when we were live trading that went, I think, from like $800 to like $7,000 a call. They moved like big, and that was an area. And then also the SPACs, like that's an area we've been focusing. IonQ, DMYQ, not financial advice. I know I'm talking individual tickers here. Do your own due diligence, and some of these others. So I think with this market, we got past the Fed, right? The Fed decision for tapering, which I think was already baked in anyways. And now we're looking at a couple things. So first, we have the options expiry. If you're looking like this week, we have the 3rd week of the month. So options expiry, which is this Friday. So it gets a bit tumultuous. People talk about not necessarily wanting to hold swing options through this weekend. I'll probably hold just 1 or 2. And then number 2, next week you have Thanksgiving, which is an off day, Friday, which is a half day. We often see like a lot of people just selling the news on those days. So this next week can be, again, just a bit rough. And then leading up to Christmas, I've just seen always things calm down. And then you have, I guess, the Santa rally. So from a lot of people that I'm talking to, they're moving into about 20% cash right now until we get closer to Christmas. But there's a lot of bullish sentiment going into the new year. The next event that I see affecting the market would be the rise in interest rates, which I don't see happening until this like spring, summer type area. So I'm pretty bullish on it. I don't think we're going to see a larger drawdown in SPY, more than 5% in that time period. Markets obviously are at pretty much all-time highs, even with these drawbacks. So I think it's healthy to have a day or two. Obviously, it sucks in the market. You lose whatever it is, a couple percent in a day. It's tough, especially if you're in crypto. But I think the markets are healthy. I don't see any like black swan events coming out of anywhere. I think as long as you are consistently, verifying your investments, you're in a good spot. And I've entered into multiple equity positions just this past week that I see as great holds for the next 6 months. So feeling pretty good about it. Not looking at a few years ahead because I want to, see how things pan out. but I don't have like a ton of fear right now. And overall, people seem cautious, which is, I think, my favorite spot in the market, because I don't love when people are all like bullseye, like things are ahead. That's scary. I also don't love when people are like doom and gloom. I kind of like this cautious middle ground.
Yeah, normally the cautious middle ground normally makes for a little bit more movement in both directions. If everyone's gun ho, then it's going up until it's not, and same with it going down. I feel like we all share a similar sentiment on the market on here. They can chime, John, Fat Baby, y'all can chime in if you don't, but I feel like we've discussed it on here. Everyone's, kind of feels like the market's going to be choppy, but a little bullish, nothing like too crazy. The one question I have is, like we kind of got some upticks with the retail sales data. I think it was 1.7% up in October, a little bit higher than expected. Do you see anything with that as far as like where inflation's basically at, I think it's a 31-year high, and we're going into the holidays, which would, to me, intuitively would mean I would expect sales to kind of be going up because people's, purchasing for Christmas. And then along with those numbers is the fact that everything's a little bit more pricey because of inflation. So the number, while it's good, it's probably ticked up, a little too much. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that report last week, I guess?
Not a ton of thoughts on the macro perspective. I think inflation, it's pretty scary at the levels that it's at, but the macro experts that I've talked to have not voiced massive concern over it. I don't really know where it's going to go. I don't see anything that's going to bring it down in the short term. I think the supply chain crisis didn't really help things. And unfortunately, with supply chain crises, they tend to get worse before they get better as things get more compact. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But with these consumer index numbers, I don't focus super heavily on them. I get alerts here and there. I mostly just watch for people that I trust and decipher their takes. So I talk to Peter Tuchman on a weekly basis. He goes by the Einstein of Wall Street. He works at the New York Stock Exchange. I get his macro perspectives. I really pay attention to Jonah Lupton. I'm in his premium room, and so I get messages from him every day. So I'll listen to his takes. Nobody's come out and been terrified and been running away from the market from these things, so I'm not going to. But yeah, it's good to keep them on notice. Inflation to me is less something that I pay attention to with the market, and more I just pay attention to my own wallet.
Yeah, it's been pretty sticky. I know me and my wife tend to do like one big grocery shop a month, and then we'll just go get like vegetables or stuff that expires like throughout. And we get about the same thing every month, pretty much the same items. And our last bill was about $50 higher than it's been. So I mean, you can tell. And then, of course, with gas prices, I don't know if you pay attention to much of the commodities, but President Biden just came out today. He wants I guess, the FTC to probe gas prices to see if there's any illegal activity. His thoughts are, he says that the unrefined gas prices are down 5% in the last month, yet gas prices for the consumer are up 3%. So his thoughts are it's cheaper for them to make gas, but yet gas prices are going up. Who knows if there's anything there, but that was in the news today, so that was a big story. You have any thoughts on anything like that or any commodities? And John, he pays attention to a lot of commodities. He can chime in here as well.
Yeah, I don't focus on a ton of commodities. I am long gas and oil right now with these prices. So I just get exposure through Gush, which is a double leveraged oil and gas ETF. I'm not a political person, but I think it's pretty obvious that closing down the Keystone pipeline probably contributed to higher gas prices, just like simple cause and effect from my perspective.
Well, with that, and also it's kind of from a political basis. Of course, Biden wants to figure out something on why gas prices are high, because that directly will affect his campaign. That's one of the things that's notable in presidential elections is, where's gas at?
Yeah, definitely. Which is an interesting benchmark to elect our leaders off of. But I'm lucky. I don't spend a ton of money on gas. I'll fill up a car maybe once or twice a month. So, because I'm sharing a car with people, so we all kind of pitch in. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm long, I have exposure to it. So if it keeps going up, I'll make money from it in the stock market. And well, hopefully, it doesn't work exactly that way with gas and oil. I understand that. But I would love to see some alternative solutions to it. Because yeah, I mean, we were basically the largest supplier of gas and oil, and then we shut down a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, I don't like we just said, like, I'm not a political person. I don't try to dive into it and like hate on sides. But I also don't defend things that I think are like pretty obvious.
Yeah, and me and John both are from kind of the energy. We're from West Virginia, so coal mining, and so we're from kind of the more energy background, a little bit different than you. We discussed it a while back on the show, but since you kind of brought up getting to alternative measures, what was your thoughts on Governor Newsom banning all the off-road gas? In my opinion, it's like too soon. We don't have electric versions of that off-road equipment like generators and all that sort of stuff. And half of California is farmers. That's a major regulation that's going to greatly affect a big part of the economy in their state.
Yeah, I think government is often out of tune with the people that they are serving. So I haven't looked far enough into that particular story to give like a full opinion or anything, but I don't think that we are quite there yet.
John, do you have anything on commodities or gas currently? What's going on, that sort of thing? John's family actually own a gas station, so he's probably a lot more in tune with gas than I am, for sure.
So first, I just want to say I'm operating some of the background stuff for the stream on YouTube and also recording the show. So it takes me a little bit to get to things. So I'm letting Chris and Fat Baby do a lot of the talking and stuff. But as far as gas and oil goes, been playing oil on these back and forth moves that's been happening here lately. I just bought some futures contracts in oil today. So going to see how that plays out. I know oil was down significantly today, had a nice little sell off into the from the beginning of the day into the close. So I do think that with inflation staying higher and some of the things that you guys talked about, I do think I see all commodities higher by the end of the year, as long with equities. And as far as inflation goes, commodities is a great way to profit off of inflation. That's kind of been my call for even before it was a headline. So I've been ahead of the curve as far as inflation expectation goes on that front. When it does become a mainstream topic, it's time to start selling some. So on the next few bounces, I'll probably be unloading that. Yeah, we have a few gas stations in the family. We're down to one now because my grandpa and my uncles had gas stations. So it's definitely always a topic on our conversations with my parents when we're talking about gas and things. And in West Virginia, gas prices are generally a little higher than where I'm at currently in North Carolina, and a little cheaper in Virginia as well, especially South Carolina. I think it's the cheapest there from what I've seen, just as far as like tax implications go and things like that. But I do think that gas will continue to go higher into the year end, along with pretty much everything else. So.
Yeah, Virginia is not cheaper anymore. I think they passed a gas tax last election. We're higher than West Virginia now. It's crazy. But I did go out on the West Coast for like a few weeks over the summer, and we rented a Maserati, so we was driving around. I don't want to hear anyone on the East Coast ever complain about gas prices again after being out there. I mean, we had to pay like $5 a gallon some places.
It's significantly more expensive. It seems like the farther out west you go. Something else is I don't pay attention to gas prices as much as I used to because I have a company vehicle. So I filled up today. It was like $51.50 in my company truck, and so fortunately I don't have to pay for the gas. But like Chris was saying, every time we go to the grocery store, I definitely feeling it in the pockets there. But fortunate that I don't have to spend much gas personally. So
Yeah, we try to get as many Kroger points as we can with groceries to take off on the gas. And me and my wife filled up last night, both vehicles. It was about $80. But moving on from gas, I guess it's kind of on the electric vehicle side. One of the big news stories I'm sure you know about is Elon Musk's Twitter poll sell off here. John, I know we talked about it a few episodes ago, but for anyone who lives under a rock or is not paying attention, basically somebody on Twitter, some blue check mark, I don't even know his name, basically claimed that if Elon Musk took like 2% of his net worth, he could solve world hunger. And he was basically like, if you can prove that, I'll do it tomorrow. Obviously, you can't prove that. That's not a calculationable, thing, not something you can calculate. Anyhow, he basically decided so basically he doesn't have like a lot of the cash or anything like that. He would have to sell Twitter or Tesla stock basically to come up with any of that money. So he basically put up a Twitter poll a couple of weeks ago, like, should I sell, this amount of Tesla stock to pay for this? Yes or no? And yes won. And he was like, well, I'll abide by the Tesla or the Twitter poll. And so he's in the process of selling $10 billion worth of Tesla stock. I think as of today, he was up to $9 billion. And so that's been, a lot on the news. I think he's getting sued by JP Morgan for the poll in general. And then I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of other stuff because $10 billion will clearly affect the stock price at some point. But yeah, what's y'all's thoughts on that? I mean, he seems to be a guy that'll live up to what he said. He was like, I said, I'll do it. I'll do it. But people kind of complain on both sides, complain if he's not donating a bunch of money, and now they're complaining when he is. So,
yeah, I think it's a bit phony what was going on here. So if you look into the reality of it, so two things. One, he was going to have to sell that anyway. You can look into it. There's been tons of research. Essentially, I think it was due to some options maybe that were getting exercised or something else. There was a tax bill that was coming up. Elon Musk was going to have to sell stock. He's a genius who knew that, who used that opportunity to basically get the most votes ever on a Twitter poll. The articles are done. They're out there. I won't go into the exact reasoning, but this was going to happen. It's not Elon Musk following the will of the people. Sorry.
Yeah, and he probably does this every year for tax purposes anyhow. Like if all his net worth is in Tesla stock, at some point he has to sell it to pay taxes.
Well, you only have to pay taxes on realized gains, and he doesn't have any salary. So he technically doesn't have to pay taxes. So that's what he was saying was, I will now pay taxes, but for one reason or another, and people can do the research. I looked at the article a week ago, so I don't remember it. He was going to have to sell Tesla stock. Number two, the real suspicious thing here is Kimball Musk, his brother, who works for Tesla, placing a very large sale of Tesla stock. I think it was like $100 million or something the day before this poll came out. Now that's where you look and you say insider trading. So
maybe,
I found that to be the much more interesting part of the story.
You seem to know about he was going to have to sell for tax purposes, which means his brother would also technically know that as well. Also, his brother probably knows Elon a lot, pretty well, right? So he is a spontaneous person. It could be like, oh shit, he's serious.
I don't know that it was necessarily tax purposes. I think it was just. I think
maybe not.
There was reasons. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think I'd seen a little bit of that of what you're talking about as well.
Yeah, look it up. There was something in the Wall Street Journal, I think. Like it was well published that this was going to happen.
Yeah. So, what's the thoughts on, I guess, the JP Morgan lawsuit as well? So they're suing basically because of the tweet, saying that he purposely was trying to make the stock go down.
Yeah, I tweeted about that the other day. Did pretty well. Most people do not think that there's going to be any repercussions. That's cool. I don't think there's going to be either. Once again,
he seems to have gotten away with quite a bit already. So I mean, I don't think there's any expectations that anything's going to change from here. I mean, he's done some things that's borderline, and he's basically told the SEC he can do what he wants to.
Well, the one thing I don't mind about it is there's been some other things, him getting in trouble for tweeting, ABC or whatever, getting fined by the SEC. I kind of respect the fact that he operates under, he'll say whatever he wants. And if you find him, fine, it's just money, I'll pay you, whatever. I don't own Tesla, so I don't really care whether the stock goes down.
Yeah, I do.
It's just a cool story.
I do. And for me, I saw this as a buying opportunity. I said, cool, the stock's going to go down for literally no fundamental reason.
And it's very high right now. So if you wanted to buy Tesla, you need it probably to go down a little bit.
Yeah, I added to my position.
Yeah, sounds good. I did the same with Penn when the fake sexual assault story came out a couple of weeks ago. So feel the same way. But yeah, I don't know.
Which, by the way, there was, again, huge insider trading on that. I don't know if you looked into it, but there was massive shorting that came in right before that story was leaked about Penn.
Yeah, and I was on here last week, so I'll go ahead and give my thoughts. Dave and everyone knew that was coming. They've been investigating that since like last March or February. They've talked to hundreds of people. Only 3 people would even say anything about it. And then, it was a pretty shoddy job of reporting. If you look into it even more, they released it on earnings day and they cut their price in half for their subscription as soon as they released it. So I don't know. Doesn't Steve Cohen own Business Insider?
Not Steve. Is it Steve Cohen?
I think it's Steve Cohen. I think it's the guy that owns the Mets. Yeah. So
the guy who got bullied off of Twitter.
Yeah. So if we look back, the timeline kind of lines up. Dave was, they had a huge fight back when all the GameStop stuff was happening as well, right? And so it's a conspiracy theory, but his thoughts, and it does make sense, was, hey, this investigation started right after that. And, me and Steve Cohen kind of had it out there for a while. This would be a chance for him to kind of, come in and play, mess with him a little bit. But I don't know. I don't think any of the allegations have any merit. I mean, I guess he provided the text messages, he posted the photos of all the messages on Twitter, proving basically that whatever was said was false. And then one of the sources is literally known to be an internet liar. She went on Dr. Phil, a few months ago, and he asked her about something. She was basically like, yeah, that's what you do in the media. You lie to get clout. And I basically jumped. So their sources are kind of shady, and he kind of had some stuff to back it up. So I tend to believe that they kind of overdid it a little bit. That's why I'm not worried about Penn. I'll buy more.
Sure.
Let's see what else we have here. Roku, you got any thoughts on Roku? I guess they kind of got killed a little bit today.
Yeah, continuous downtrend, has broken through key levels. So let me just pull that up real quick. Yeah, not pretty. So we're back to the levels that we saw in November before the initial run up. Obviously, and that big drop today. I don't see a reason that this is necessarily going to stop here. I guess you could say that maybe there's support around 227, but yeah, I mean, they're just getting killed. The technical analysis on it does not look good. I wouldn't be looking to take an entry position because I don't try to catch falling knives like this.
Yeah, Fat Baby, what's your feeling on Roku? I know you were talking about it recently.
Yeah, I mean, I like Roku long term. I think they've got some interesting stuff going for them with the way they can leverage the cheap hardware into a very high margin software business, essentially, where they can make a ton of money off of essentially giving things away for free. So it's a very interesting business model. There are a few things in the business. They didn't have a great earnings. They're getting hit by some of the supply chain stuff. And they're also in some tough negotiations with Google right now. So I think all of that's weighing on the business. But long term, I think it's a buying opportunity. You could see that stock was definitely overextended when it was trading at 30 times sales. And, things are just going to come back. But now I think it's trading around 12 times sales. And for a business that's been growing the way it has with very high incremental margins overall, founder led, there's a lot going for it in the long term. But yeah, it could be a bumpy ride, because this is definitely a falling knife right now. Not for business reasons, I don't think, but it ran up too high. So from a technical end, I can see people avoiding it, but from a overall business quality, I definitely like the business.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Google, I guess the fight with Google. I have YouTube TV. That's what we have for cable, basically. And I guess there was one point where the negotiations were not going good between Google and Roku. I think they've actually got a little bit better here of recently. But yeah, we got an email from YouTube TV. It's like, yeah, Roku, they don't want to bend on any of their negotiations. So they're probably going to take all our apps off their service. We're just going to send you a smart Chromecast, which basically makes any TV a smart TV. And they just basically sent me a free Chromecast to bypass using Roku on the TV. So,
yeah. I mean, it's a hardware battle for sure, where they're going to be giving these things away for free, because they realize once you get that user locked into your service, you can make so much money off of them, not directly, even indirectly through all the content providers, that it makes money to give it away for free. So it's going to be a fun business, because Google and Amazon are starting to heat up their competition. They let Roku run away with it for a while.
yeah. And then I guess the last thing I have on my sheet is, do you Gav, do you own any crypto? I guess you probably own some crypto, if I had to guess.
Yeah, got a healthy amount. It's actually 50% of my growth portfolio is crypto. Mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum. I also have Solana, Atom, which is I think like Cosmos, Dogecoin, SHIB, Bitcoin Cash, and I'm eyeing some others. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm decently heavy in crypto.
Yeah, did you did you see the story? I don't know how long ago it was. I think it was kind of like recent, like kind of maybe 4 or 5. But the Staples Center is basically Crypto.com bought the naming rights for $700 million to the Staples Center. So where the Lakers and Clippers play. I mean, they're announcing the logo Christmas, and then it goes into effect in June. I think that's pretty crazy. It's not directly related to crypto, but I thought that was a crazy story.
We actually spoke about this yesterday. We did an opportunities in crypto space, and one of the biggest opportunities that people were pointing out was actually CRO, which is the Crypto.com coin. And they have a lot that you can do with it. Apparently, if you do something like, if you put in like 50 grand and you have it in there for 6 months, they'll give you 14% staking your crypto. So you can earn 14% on that. In addition to that, the coin is up 200% this month alone, 230% past 3 months. And the fact that they're now putting out $700 million for marketing is what it is. That's pretty big that they're able to move that money. They also did the UFC sponsorship. So we actually are looking at CRO as a great opportunity within crypto. And I've never actually purchased it, but apparently I signed up with someone else's link, and then 2 people used my link. So I got $75 or something like that. And that's turned into $300 in the app. So you know what? It's making some movement. So yeah, I mean, I have I don't know, 500 CRO or something. So yeah, I mean, that's something to look at if you're interested in that area. But yeah, I mean, overall, you're taking a topic that was only known by, this is to quote Brian Shannon this morning on my space. He said, this is a topic that was only known by libertarians and kooks 10 years ago, and is now, literally on the freaking Staples Center, across it, where Kobe and LeBron James play basketball. So it's taking it to the next level.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue that well. They'll have to figure something out.
Crypto.com arena.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's rough. I was looking at it again. I was like, it's a little tough. Maybe I was wishing they didn't do arena.
What about they should have just did the CRO arena or something like that.
They should have just done the crypto center, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But I guess the thing is, do they know that if it's a crypto center, is it crypto.com?
The crypto center, brought to you by crypto.com.
Yeah.
I thought it should have been the crypto center. I don't know.
I don't have crypto.com, so I don't know much about it. I have Coinbase, which I know people hate, but
right.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. John, Fat Baby, do y'all have anything else you want to discuss? Or
The one fun thing that's going on, it's really crazy. Did you see the Constitution thing?
Yeah.
Did you see that, Chris or John?
no, I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, not to try and get into all the weeds of how it's happening, but essentially, there's a crypto group who's allowing you to buy a part of the Constitution. So they're collecting a bunch of funds that are going to bid for the Constitution via this decentralized organization. So you could send X dollars in Ethereum, and technically, if they win the bid for the Constitution, have a portion of the Constitution. So it's pretty crazy. It's an interesting use case for crypto, but everyone's saying we're going to buy the Constitution, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they did a whole space on that today. I saw Lieberman from Morning Brew led that, had about 1,000 people on there, and he brought on all the people who are running it. I don't actually understand, like, who's selling the Constitution? Is it the
That's
US
what I'm
government?
saying.
So I think it's a private owner, but it's like, and I'm going to butcher the name, the leading auction service is Sotheby's or something like that. So there's one of those really fancy auction places is selling it, but I imagine a private historian investor or whatever owned it before, and then they put it on the market, and then some crypto maniacs decided to create a decentralized organization that's going to buy it, and then they're going to donate it to like the Smithsonian or something. But then technically, if you give money to that, you'd own a portion of the Constitution.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand. I thought the government owned the Constitution. So
I guess there's like multiple. I have not looked into the history, but my understanding is there's actually multiple versions of it. So they wrote it out like multiple times, which makes sense. They didn't have a copy, or you didn't want to lose it. But I have no idea how any of it works. But I think I read there was like 16 versions of it. So this is one of 16. So I'm sure the government has one.
yeah, that's crazy. It kind of sounds like the NFTs. Gav, are you in that space? I know nothing about it besides that it's apparent. So basically, how I understand the NFT is like it's supposed to be like digital art, kind of like people used to own art not for the purpose of owning art, but just another way to diversify their money and put it that way. To me, I was explaining NFTs as this is just a way to basically invest your money and stuff like that in a digital form, basically.
Yeah, I have several NFTs. I've flipped an NFT before for a few 100% profit, which was cool.
Are you going to create Wolf NFTs?
It's been an idea, but I've created an NFT collection before. So I made a whole collection. It was actually like based around stocks and cryptos, and I basically took them and made like a piece of artwork for 90 really popular stocks and 10 cryptos and put that on the blockchain. I also have some of the Wall Street Bulls NFTs. I've got a few of my friends' NFTs, to support them, stuff like that. So I think that we're very early stages. Everything's just being formed. The word utility doesn't mean anything so far to what we have. Like, people are trying to put utility in, but there's so much more that can come. I think you have to look at NFTs not as art or this or that. You just have to look at it as the fact that people can now own a piece of data, and that is it. Like, to me, that is what you are looking at, is the process of selling data on the internet. Because, to be honest, we pretty much colonized Earth. Like, it's you go to New York, it's a madhouse. Like, you can't really buy any, build any more real estate or anything like that. So we have to move to the virtual. What we've heard about, the metaverse, the omniverse, these things that are happening. Think of NFTs as you are buying a piece of data, and you own that piece of data, and that piece of data can be anything, and it can go into so much depth that we really have no concept of just yet. And that's what I'm looking at. So I'm not looking at it. The art's great. It's a great way to break in and a great way to give it an initial use case. And it's cool, right? Like, I have the original Mona Lisa, whatever, NFT, all those things. But I think that there's so much more utility that's to come, which is why I'm happy to spend $500,000 for a learning lesson to get into the space early.
Yeah. Is Wolf doing anything to get into the metaverse, I guess?
Well, I'm pretty, I do spaces, we do spaces. We talk NFTs, we talked some metaverse. Actually, we talked metaverse for a while on some of my spaces today, yesterday, because we talk about opportunities for investing. So yeah, I'd say by the proxy of talking about the opportunities to invest in, we sure are.
Is the next step there for me to be able to put on a VR and be on the stock trading room? Back in the day, everyone wanted to trade from their computers and be off Wall Street. Are we going back to where I can sit in my house and be on, in the New York Stock Exchange trading again?
That would be great. I mean, it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah, I got you. John, do you have anything else? That's all I have. I didn't know if you had anything.
No, I don't have anything.
Yep, Fat Baby, you got anything?
No, just thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll definitely
Yeah, for sure. Enjoyed it. Learned some things for sure.
Look forward to your spaces. If you want to, you can go ahead and plug your Twitter, your I guess the Wolf Twitter, anything else you want people to know about, maybe what's coming up spaces wise tomorrow. And
yeah, definitely check out the Wolf Twitter at Wolf_financial. And you can check out my personal Twitter where I share some more of my own investing, things like that. So that's at Gav Blacksburg. So just my name that's up here. Spaces tomorrow are going to be cool. So tomorrow I might have the biggest speaker that's ever come on a space of mine. So I'm doing a 1 p.m. EST space with Benzinga. Of course, they're verified, a couple 100,000 followers. I have Christine Barnum coming on that. I have the Wall Street memes community is going to be on that. That's a huge, community with NFT projects. And then I may have an account with over 1 million followers that is verified coming on. I'm going to wait until they're actually on there to announce it because I want to make sure it actually happens and not jinx it. But yeah, could be a huge space tomorrow. And then I'm doing another space, I think, at like 5 p.m. EST. Yeah, 5 p.m. EST tomorrow. And that'll be the market psychology one. But yeah, big shout out to you guys. Some of the real early on people that actually, you might have been probably the first 20 people that DM'd with the Wolf.
Yeah, I think you had less than 20 followers.
Yeah. We were tiny. And Fat Baby Funds, I remember interacting with you way back when. And then, we started getting some Zoom calls, and now it's crazy where everything's taken us. And the fact that I'm spending 10 hours a day, on spaces didn't even they weren't even a thing when we started chatting. So yeah, it's crazy to see how far it's coming. Great to be back on here.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome anytime. Yeah, definitely check out the Wolf app. Start your profile. It's super easy. You can log in with your Google account now, which if you have an Android like I do, I know most people have iPhones. You're already logged into Google, so it's very easy to log in. Just using your Gmail. But definitely check that out. It's a whole community on there. It's basically FinTwit and its own app with all the resources right there that you need. As you heard Gav talk about, they'll have actual trading capability pretty soon. Follow Gav, check out spaces, read the newsletter. And then if you're not following us yet, we're on Twitter at Swingin It, no just, but at Swingin It. And yeah, thanks for coming on, Gav. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Have a great evening.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
We'll catch y'all later. Keep swinging.